an Iranian refugee in Turkey ministering to other refugees, a music video, and another recipe from Mission 360's kitchen coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360, coming to you today from Seville, Spain. In this area of the city, back in the 1900s, late 1900s, they tried to resurrect the old markets from this area. The problem is when they started to dig down for an underground car park, they discovered ancient Roman ruins. So they had to stop the digging immediately. But they've been able to adapt, and today here you can see what they call the Metropole Parasol, which is kind of a urban sunshade or umbrella. And not only is it a talking point, it's almost like an art exhibit in the middle of the city, but it's also functional because it protects the ruins below. And then they now have a terrace here and shops below. And when I look at this sort of adaptation, I think of mission, because we have a firm foundation. We have God's word and the principle of God's word, but we need to adapt them to certain situations. This is becoming all things to all people. This does not mean compromise, it means making the message attractive and understandable to people in different cultures. And on today's program, we'll be looking at mission in different parts of the world to different people groups. First up, a sobering story of a man who was tortured for his faith.
I was tortured for 20 days. They wanted me to reject Christianity, but I wouldn't do it. I grew up looking for God. I wasn't always a Christian. I learned about Jesus from one of my neighbors who shared the Bible with me. In my country in the Middle East, being a Christian is dangerous. But once I discovered the gospel, there was no way I would ever give it up. Somehow, the government learned I was a Christian and captured me. They tortured me with hopes that I would turn my back on Jesus. But God protected me from the pain, and I felt peace like I have never felt before. I knew they planned to kill me eventually, so I managed to escape and fled with my family out of the country. We live in another country now due to the turbulence at home. My experience has led me to dedicate my life to God's work, and now I am working as a global mission pioneer, building a new congregation of believers in my city. We meet for Bible study and fellowship each weekend. Sometimes we go to a local park when we can't fit inside my home. We always share a meal together. Most of the people who come are refugees too. We all have that in common, so we can relate to being in a new country, and we have formed good friendships with each other. During the week, I teach Bible to people at my home every day. Sometimes I even give lessons to people back in my home country through online video chat. God is blessing my work as a global mission pioneer, and is preparing people's hearts to be transformed by Him. He spared my life because I know He had plans for me to share the gospel message with the people I meet here. Please pray for the Middle East. Pray that the gospel can spread throughout this challenging territory. Thank you for supporting the work of global mission pioneers like me so that we can teach others about Jesus.
My guest is Pastor Mario Brito, who is the president of the Adventist Church in the Inter-European region. Thanks for joining us, Mario.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Now, when we talk about the Inter-European division, describe the territories.
Our territory is basically from Central Europe,
Yes.
Germany, France. We go down to Romania, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, going to the south, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and all the other little countries like San Marino. At all, we are about 20 countries. We are 20 countries, yeah.
Right, so you have so many different languages and cultures.
Yes, so many languages and cultures, and each one functioning in a different way. Even the approaches, the sermons. It's very likely that I preach the same sermon or in the same way in two different countries. I have always to adapt it according to the area where I go.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, when you look at all these different cultures, different language groups, what are your major challenges in mission?
You know, we have some external challenges because we live in a very secularized society. Some countries like Czechoslovakia, you have a high number of people that say they are atheists, and it's not easy for us to approach them and to bring them to God because they have no spiritual life as we understand it. So it's not only their problem, maybe it's ours because we don't know how to get there.
Right.
Also, we have some internal problems. When I say this, we need to motivate our churches that they get the vision and the passion for mission. I have to say that many church members and many pastors are motivated and many good things are happening. But still, we have a long way to go to be able to have this passion everywhere, that we may be a movement of people that are happy to accomplish the mission.
Yes. Now, today I've heard stories about church planting within your territories. Why is church planting so important?
No, I tell you, it's important because people want to see living examples. They are, you know, they have enough of theories. Mm-hmm. And when you come, you present a new method, a new program, they say it's one more. But when they see there is a project that is working, they will come and try to see what is happening that they may replicate. And we have some church projects, church planting projects that are working very well.
Yeah, that's very encouraging.
Very encouraging.
Now, you are an administrator, but at heart you are a pastor.
Yes.
And you have a lot of committees, you have meetings, you have a lot of travel. But you are also personally involved in mission. Tell me about that.
Yes, you know, I try always to be in touch with the church, with the people outside. Because otherwise, you know, I know it by experience. If you are always with your papers in your office, you lose contact with reality. You take decisions that sometimes are wrong because you don't know what is happening. So I try always to be involved in church projects. When I am in Bern, where I live, I go to a small group each Wednesday. Sabbath, I am there. I am involved in I would say a church planting project, a new church that is starting there. And I have a lot of joy, in spite of sometimes being tired, but I come home very happy.
Wonderful. And you were talking earlier about a Bible study that you gave to somebody who you didn't anticipate would be overly interested.
Yes.
Can you briefly tell us about that?
Yes, this is the experience of a lady. She was working in a kind of a cabaret. She had a worldly life, if I can say. She was not converted at all. Her daughter was dancing, also not a believer. She had a contact with someone that told her about Jesus Christ. She spoke with the mother about her new faith. Finally, a member of the church got to know them, invite them to come to our group. They start coming. And it's true that when the lady came in the beginning, you know, I saw her so far away that I thought it would take us a long time to get her coming and yield her heart to Jesus Christ. Finally, she was so interested that she wanted to have Bible studies. And I remember one day while I was giving her Bible studies, she started crying, really crying very loud, you know, and say, "Oh, I lost my life. I lost so many times. Why no one told me that before?" Then I understood that process of conversion was happening there. And this is our joy, and seeing so many souls being changed. Not only this lady, many other ladies that we are seeing being changed, completely changed.
Wonderful. Pastor Brito, what would be your greatest hope for the people in the territories that you serve?
You know, my greatest hope and my vision is that everyone discovers the joy of the service. Mm-hmm. You know, in my youth, I was not a believer, I was not attending any church. I decided to enjoy the world, to be happy. But the more I tried to be happy, the more empty I was. So when I discovered Jesus Christ and discovered that our happiness is or resides in being able to give yourself to others, to help them, this is the true happiness that lasts. When you invest your time in people, you see them changing, new lives. Oh, this is wonderful, you know, it's more than having $1 million. And this is what keeps us on going. And I would very much like that each church member may have this experience.
Wonderful.
And may rejoice in this kind of service.
Fantastic. Pastor Brito, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And viewers, please remember the inter-European region in your prayers. Tremendous challenges, tremendous opportunities. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Seville, Spain, and more specifically to the Plaza de España. What a beautiful sight it is. Next, we travel to the Mission 360 kitchen for another amazing, healthy vegetarian recipe.
Welcome to our Mission 360 kitchen. We like to think of our world as a global neighborhood, and so we're going to introduce a recipe to you today from my friend who is originally from Dominican Republic. Now, some people argue a little bit about where cassava originates from. Some people say El Salvador. Sometimes the people in Portugal claim that they are the originators, but actually they probably got it from one of the Caribbean countries and took it back.
I didn't know that.
But we'll see. We're going to make a recipe called cassava croquettes today. And do you want to tell us what the ingredients are?
Yes.
Okay.
We need 1 fresh cassava. We need an egg, a half a teaspoon of anise seed, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and then enough oil to fry.
Okay. Sometimes it's hard to know about how much a pound of something is, but a pound of cassava is about this size. And you might be wondering how to handle it. I struggled a little bit at first because I just had never tried it before. But all you do is you take a regular vegetable peeler and you just peel off the skin on the outside. Now you might be able to see that the inside there is a little bit lavender. Mm-hmm. So if you were to do this and think, oh, I'll prep this ahead of time and I'll come back to it later, if you let too much time go by, it's probably, all this white part is probably going to turn pink or lavender. So if you want to make this recipe ahead, make the whole thing ahead and then just reheat it later. Now, cassava is very dense. So the easiest way to cut it is to just take off the ends, cut them into rounds, just slice them into rounds, and then cut them again maybe into quarters. Mm-hmm. Then you can put that into the food processor, and it looks like this. Kayla, can you show what that looks like? It looks kind of like Parmesan cheese or something.
Mm-hmm. It's very moist looking. It's
yes.
very textured.
And I found out in trying it, I found out that the finer, the better. So we want it to be kind of mealy. So let's add our other ingredients in it, Kayla, and give it a good stir.
I'm going to start with the egg here. Just get that. I'll add the anise. And just a bit of salt.
And you're definitely going to want to put some seasoning in it because cassava by itself doesn't have a lot of flavor. So definitely add a little salt, unless that is a problem for you. And the anise seed gives it some, it's different, it's kind of exotic.
It's not a common
I'm not a
seasoning.
licorice fan, but it kind of is a hint of licorice. But it is very good in this recipe.
Could you play around with the seasoning too, do you think?
I definitely think you could. I think if you like oregano, go for oregano. If you like celery salt, try that.
Okay.
I think you could probably try garlic or whatever you have. If you're a resourceful cook, you just use whatever in your kitchen.
Yes. Looks good.
So it looks like it's all mixed up.
Okay.
Now this is not a mixture that sticks together really easily, so we're going to make them kind of small. We're going to use these small ice cream scoops. I'm going to just show you about that much, just small. And you put it in your hand and shape it into kind of an oval like that, and then just drop it into the oil. Okay.
Okay.
You want to try?
Yes.
And we're going to let that fry for maybe 7 minutes or so, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Yeah, that looks great. And then when it starts to look like it might be getting brown around the edges, then we can turn them. Now we do have a lot of oil in the pan, so this is not a recipe that you'd make often, but we will also drain that oil a little bit, and we will put that on a paper towel over here so that can absorb some of the excess oil. So we're just going to continue on until our pan is full.
I'm trying not to break them.
You make it the first time, and the second time is a lot easier, believe me.
Okay.
The first time I tried it, I thought, oh, this just can't be right. But it actually turned out okay, and we've done it several times since. And it goes much faster the next time you make it.
It is very wet though. Is that all?
It's
the
what?
It's very wet. Is that all the
Yeah.
mandioca?
Yeah, it's the yucca. It has a lot of moisture in it. So we'll just keep at this until we've got a pan full.
Okay.
So when these are done, we'll come back and show you what they look like when they're ready to eat. Okay, our cassava croquettes are done, so I'm going to lift these out one at a time and let them drain.
Now while you do that, I
On some
noticed
paper.
you were calling them yucca and cassava,
I know, I sometimes do that.
which I've also heard that they can be called mandioca. And then if you dry them and turn them into a powder, sometimes it's called tapioca.
Well, we all know what tapioca is.
My mom uses it a lot. So, a lot of names for one plant. It's
Well, no
very
wonder we
useful.
get confused sometime. Well, these are very hot when they first come out of the pan, as you can imagine, because it's hot oil. So before we try these, we're going to let these cool a little bit and also drain on this paper towel.
Safety
So-
first.
But it smells good.
It does.
It looks almost like a fried plantain.
Yeah, I can't wait to try these.
Yeah, and I think you'll be surprised at the taste of the anise in there. Okay, we'll come back in a few minutes and show you what this is like.
Well, are they cool enough? They look about done.
Well, let's try. We'll
Okay.
just stab it, and before we put it onto our serving platter, let's just give it a little taste and make sure they're okay.
Nice and crispy.
They're good.
Really good.
It's kind of like a sweet potato in a way with that anise in it. Kind of a cross between a sweet potato and a white potato. Anyway, they're good. I think our guests will be pleased. So I hope you don't feel too intimidated and you'll give cassava a try.
Next up, Matilda Radge sings Jesus, I Love You. And as you listen to the words of this song and listen to the beautiful music, I invite you to meditate upon the wonderful love of the one who loved the world so much that he sent his only son.
Lord, I really do love you. You're the only one about to. I cannot fully comprehend the depth of love you have for me. Yes, suffered and you died to save my life. My advocate, you're bleeding to save me again. I wanna be with you in heaven. I'll fall onto the ground to worship you. Your cup will be my pillar to cling on. Your feet will be my pillow to slumber. Your loving mighty hand on my head. I'll be your loving child forever. King of kings, you are my everything. Jesus, I love you. Lord, I really do love you. You know how much I do, my Savior. I know I always sin against you. I'm sorry that I always hurt you. I'm weak, I need your help to leave my ways and be renewed with love and forgiveness. I wanna be with you in heaven. I'll fall onto the ground to worship you. Your cup will be my pillar to cling on. Your feet will be my pillow to slumber. Your loving mighty hand on my head. I'll be your loving child forever. King of kings, you are my everything. Jesus, I love you. I wanna be with you in heaven. I'll fall onto the ground to worship you. Your love will be my pillar to cling on. Your feet will be my pillow to slumber. Your loving mighty hand on my head. I'll be your loving child forever. King of kings, you are my everything. Oh, I wanna be with you in heaven. I'll fall to the ground to worship you. Your cup will be my pillar to cling on. Your feet will be my pillow to slumber. Your loving mighty hand on my head. I'll be your loving child forever. King of kings, you are my everything. Jesus, I love you. I do, I do, I do, I do.
Well, that's about it for today's Mission 360 program, coming to you from Seville, Spain. And I hope that you've enjoyed the program and that you've been inspired and challenged by what you've seen and heard. And I want to thank you for being part of the Adventist Mission team. I want to thank you for your continuing support for mission through your prayers, through your personal involvement, and through your financial giving, because your mission offerings, your donations to Global Mission, they do make a difference, and I want to thank you. And as a small token of appreciation, I would like to send you this free book. It's called True Believer, written by Gina Wallin, the editor of our Mission Quarterlies, and Gina tells this story that I know will captivate your hearts. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.